Welcome back, everybody. Today is officially draft day in the MLB. Just got to advance to day one time. I spent some time between last episode and this one going through the entire roster and just going through the minor leagues to see what positions we have the lowest potential at. Because right now, that's kind of what I'm focusing on is, where can we add more potential to our farm system to give us the best shot at having a really solid future across the board at almost all positions. And I figured that because we drafted 3 different starters last year, all of whom had pretty high potential, with Ariano, Doug Chandler, Robert Carlick, that we can probably not go after a starter here in this one, unless we want to go after one later on, or there's one guy that we just can't pass up on. But the top spot where we really need some help at in the minor leagues and for the future in the major leagues is in relief. Obviously, we brought in a lot of new faces for the active roster, but in the minor league system, you only have 1 to 2 or 3 players that even have C or higher potential. So I feel like that should be one of our focuses in the upcoming draft. Reliever is kind of the same story, only D potential prospects across the entire organization, except for Jose Leclerc. And then for catcher, everybody that's not on the active roster also only has D potential, including Juan Flores, who had a really solid start to his season in the AAA or in the AA league, but then he has cooled off since then. We also got to think about the outfield because right now we obviously have Canaan Smith and Jigba. We've got Walker Jenkins. We've got Gerardo Franco, but he has D potential. Besides those couple of guys and Emmanuel Bonilla, who we drafted last season, there's not really anybody that is going to be a future player for us in the majors. Nelson Rada could be, but he is 19 years old, only a C potential, so we'll see about him. But we could look for outfielders potentially, which I might focus on there in the first round, who knows. But we also got to think about second and third baseman. I know that we took Odell Herrera last year, but he's already on the active roster, so we're still thinking about future picks for 3 to 5 years down the line. You've only got a handful of third basemen in the entire organization, so we could obviously add to that. And then same goes for second baseman as well. This is probably more of a concern over third base, but both could still be focuses for us in the middle part of the draft. Lastly, we have first base, where we have 3 players at C potential, including Evan White, who has had some experience in the majors last season. We could still definitely add some better prospects here too. I've gone through the guys that we have mostly scouted here, and I've added as many guys as I possibly could that we actually looked at to our draft queue. At the top, we have the likely first overall pick, Russell Park, who is a second baseman. Did not scout him because I think he's going to go first overall. We saw that not really happen last year. It was a pitcher, I believe, instead, and then the guy went second or third overall instead. But Jess Nash, I think, is still my top option here with our 13th pick. Will he be there? That remains to be seen, but his ratings are really speaking to me both overall-wise and potential-wise for the future. You want a guy that can play really, really soon, he's another guy to go after. There's also Jason Albrecht, who we've talked about previously. He could be a good option for us, although he can only play first base, so got to keep that in mind with him, because we already have Nolan Shonowell in the majors, who is pretty much a lock to be a cornerstone for this franchise going forward, unless he were to drop off the map considerably. There's also Ryan Bullock, who's an outfielder. We have Tadahito Kondo up here, but he's also a pitcher that's a starter, so I'm not going to focus on that too early on in the draft. Then they got James Rogers here, who I think can be a really solid offensive player, but can be an even better defensive player, especially maybe in center field with that speed and that arm strength. But I think he could really play anywhere in the outfield, so not opposed to drafting him. And the last guy that I'm really thinking about here in the first round is Estevan Caron, who can play shortstop, second, and third, which 2 of those are spots of need for us in the organization, and he pretty much has everything except for power, but it's still not even that low. So this guy is also really solid, especially on defense. He's got some really solid out of the gate ratings and can also steal on the base paths, so he could be a really good option too. I think those 3 to 4 guys are my top options right now. Without further ado, let's dive into this MLB draft. Oh, I forget who has the first overall pick. It's the A's. That makes a lot of sense. So it's the A's, the White Sox, and the Pirates in the top 3. Detroit has the pick right before us. So hopefully Nash can drop to us, but I think it's probably unlikely. Let's find out. We're going to start the draft. A's on the clock, and with the first overall selection, they will take Francis Muller, who I did not even have revealed. In fact, he was 85th on our draft rank, 50th on the MLB draft rank. That is a shocking first overall pick by Oakland, but I guess they have some ideas in mind for him. They must like him a lot. The White Sox, with the second overall pick, take Jason Temple, also a guy that I'm not really too familiar with. 7th on both boards. Starting pitcher, age 21. So Russell Park has not gone yet. Does he go to the Pirates? No, it's just Nash going 3rd overall. So, yeah, we can't get him, unfortunately. But his profile was really good, so that makes a lot of sense. The Pirates with a big pick there. Now we've got 9 picks until we're on the clock. So we sim to our pick, and it looks like Sorvalo went, who we also had fully scouted. Omar Flores was number 2 on our boards prior to scouting him. All bricks off the board. We scouted Murillo, and Russell Park, who I thought was going to go first overall, instead goes 2 picks before us at number 11 to the Reds. So now we're back on the clock. And again, my top options in my minds are these 3 guys right here. Ryan Bullock, James Rogers, and Estevan Caron. And I think between Bullock and Rogers, Bullock's got some really good speed, some solid defensive ratings. He'll be a really good contact hitter almost immediately. Rogers is more of a jack of all trades kind of a hitter and is better overall defensively with higher speed. He's got around 70 to 85 potential. Ryan Bullock has higher potential, at least based on these not 100% scouting reports. Rogers might have the higher overall initially. But these guys are 2 pretty similar players. Bullock definitely has a lot to like about him, with the vision and discipline being higher than Rogers. But is that enough to overcome the defense from Rogers? I'm not so sure. There's also Estevan Caron, who we looked at a few minutes ago. He also has a potential in the mid to high 70s, most likely. So we're not going to get like majorly high potential prospect unless you go for Ryan Bullock and he happens to have like a 90 potential instead, which is obviously possible. Rico Guerrero, much wider ranges here at 45% scouted, and then we got a bunch of pitchers down here. So I think we pretty much have to choose between these top couple of guys. I'm seeing one key difference here that might tip the edge to Bullock here, and it's that he's a switch hitter. And Rogers is not. He only bats righty, but Bullock, with good righty and lefty contact, if he can switch hit, that's even better. It just makes it even easier to hit with this guy. And his defensive ratings aren't that much worse than James Rogers are. Rogers will have more power. So more power, more defense for Rogers, but probably better on-base ability for Ryan Bullock than Rogers will have. I think I'm going to go with Ryan Bullock here with this selection. And that's the pick. Ryan Bullock, a new outfielder for us, for the organization. 18th on the overall boards, 21 on ours. We get him at pick 13. He's only 18 years old as well. So you'll see the reveal for him at the end of the episode. Now we can sim to our next selection. And 2 has come off the board since then. Looks like Manuel Salgado went. We had him nearly scouted. Salvador Santos, same story. We also looked at Mike O'Hara, Emmanuel Zaguer, Gabriel Julio was on our draft queue. And it looks like... Oh, Tadahito Kondo went to the Brewers at pick 32. So he's off the board. Now I've wasted 30 seconds going over previous draft picks. So let's focus on our next one. Rogers is still there. Do we go for 2 outfielders or do we go for Estevan Caron now? I think it's going to be one of these 2 guys because they're still available. Rogers between 41 and 54 on the boards. Caron will come later on. Our next pick does not come for quite some time, about 36 picks. So let's make a smart selection here. But I think to bolster the outfield, which is one of the most needy parts of our org, I think it makes sense to go for James Rogers here to get that defensive playmaker that can also give you some power. Also has really high vision and, or not really high, but has really solid vision and discipline, which means that he could be also a really good on-base batter. So we're going to draft Rogers as well. 2 outfielders to start this draft. Pick number 50. Hopefully his potential is towards the top of that range. We're back on the clock. We only have a couple of seconds to pick. Caron ends up going to the Guardians at pick 72. Now we are on the clock again. I think it's time. Wow, we just lost almost everybody on our board. I'm going to go for the best reliever here that I had on our board, and that is Lorenzo Murillo. I think he's better than Jordy Lane. He's got some really good overall ratings across the board, including pitch velo, pitch break. Really nothing here is that concerning to me. In fact, he's got really high potential as well. So let's go after Lorenzo Murillo here in the 3rd round of the drafts. The A's take Jordy Lane in the top of the 4th round, and we only have 1 guy left on our board. It is Kevin Cardenas, starting pitcher. And it looks like, I mean, the potential is really high. The overall, not so much. I think it makes sense to just go after this guy because of the high potential. Hopefully he has an A potential. And we can really beef up these starters, and now we can focus on the other spots going forward. So Kevin Cardenas is the selection here in round 4 at pick 116. We actually got him way later than our draft rank was. We're back on the clock here in the 5th, our second to last selection of the draft. Who do we have that is scouted that's still available? A couple of starting pitchers, a couple of relieving pitchers. Ken Wilson, really low walk per 9. That's going to scare me off a little bit. Ricky Magruder, don't have him scouted whatsoever, but we are lacking some catching prospects in the organization. There is Sean Dubrow, who has good reaction time, good fielding, so is more of a defensive catcher than anything else. The batting ratings are getting a lot of work. The potential could be there, though, and he's also a switch hitter and can play 3rd base, so that could be a potential selection. There's also Johnny Takahashi, and he actually has some power to him. I think I like him more, despite the potential being lower based on the low scouting, and I wasted too much time. Instead, we take Charles Herring. Oh, man. And that was a guy that I did not want to take because he had a relatively awkward profile, especially with the incredibly low walk per 9. But I guess I can't be too upset. I wasted too much time, right? Okay. Now I can focus on one of those picks. We got 1 minute to make the selection. And are they still there? Magruder's there. Takahashi's there. I think I'm going to go with Takahashi. There's only a handful of guys that we actually have scouted here. He's 187 on the board. We got pick 176 right now. Our last pick, Johnny Takahashi. Welcome to Los Angeles. And that is going to end the MLB draft. Here in 2025, we can sign our draft picks between now and August 1st. With the offense's batting average being bottom 3 right now across the entire league at 246, and Nolan Schanuel batting 339, I think it makes sense to make a couple of lineup adjustments, which I've already done. So let's go over them. We're going to move Julian up to first against both lefties and righties, so he will be the leadoff man in place of Shohei going forward. And I'm doing this because he's batted .265, only has 52 batting clutch, but one of his quirks is that he performs better when no runners are on. So why not get this guy the first at-bat of every game, and potentially the first at-bat of a couple of different innings across each game. We're going to move Shohei to third against both righties and lefties because he has 65 batting clutch and is on an absolute tear at the plate this season with an incredible average and some really good on-base and slugging metrics as well. He's been great. He has literally 3.0 WAR. He's going to pass his total from last year. So hopefully, with Shohei batting third, now that will get us some more runs across home plates. We're also going to remove O'Neill from cleanup and let Travis Star now take this over against right-handed pitchers. He's been solid this year with 11 home runs. And we're going to bring Logan O'Hoppe back into our lineup against lefties as the cleanup batter once again. He's put his average up after batting like 140 for most of it, up to 177. And hopefully with that 93 lefty contact and 81 power, he can help us out there after a couple of weeks on the bench. I'm again not going to focus on the All-Star Game or the Home Run Derby this year because I still want to get deeper into our series before we start to focus on that in the middle of these seasons. Because we have a lot more to talk about in this episode. So let's sim through the All-Star break. Got a game here against the Mets, and we're about to hopefully win the game. We do win it 4-2. Jonathan Lawasiga ends up clutching that one out. Gonna skip the Home Run Derby and the All-Star Game. And it looks like the NL won it this year. And we can finally sign our draft pick. So we are 4 games below 500. John Means got the win in that one. Now, can I see who the All-Stars were? Max Fried was the top All-Star pitcher in the American League. What a signing he has turned out to be. He was fantastic this season. In relief, you had Ian Hamilton, nobody for us. And then for closers, Leclerc was the 6th closer in the All-Star game this year. At catcher, we're not going to have anybody there. First base, Tristan Casas makes it for the Boston Red Sox. I'm surprised that Shohei missed out at first base, considering that he was batting so well across the entire season. At shortstop, Javi Baez makes it batting .210. He must have been an absolutely incredible defensive shortstop to make it here. Any outfielders? Mike Trout makes it batting .281 this year over in Minnesota. And DH, nobody there for us. So only one guy, one All-Star for us this year. It's Max Fried. Nobody else makes it for us. And the National League, Ohtani makes it. Aaron Nola makes it. Lopez. Jose Alvarado down here. And Pete Alonso, that's what he's batting .315. He's already got a number of home runs, north of 20. Jake Berger at third base. Perdomo at shorts. Christian Yelich with a bounce-back season here. James Outman in center. Corbin Carroll in rights, followed by Acuna and Tatis. The usual suspects. Ohtani makes it as a pitcher and as a DH. He is batting as well as Shohei is, and probably is got a lot more home runs too. So those are the All-Stars. But now we can try to sign our draft picks. And we have signed our first-round pick, Ryan Bullock. And our second-round pick as well. Both outfielders have signed their contracts. Mario has signed as well. Fourth-round pick, Kevin Cardenas, accepts the offer too. 2 guys left. Charles Herring, Johnny Takahashi. I'm going to spend most of our time learning more about Takahashi before I give him his contract, but I'm still probably going to assign him to a deal. Ooh, Charles Herring's potential rating is now up to 98 on the high end. That makes me want to sign this guy even more, though the walk per nine just went down from 8 to 30 to 8 to 29. So that's going to be his biggest weakness for sure, but I think he's still going to be a valuable part of our starters in the organization, so welcome to LA. And our last signing here is going to be Johnny Takahashi. Please take this and don't decline. He does. We have signed all our draft picks, everybody, and we have lost 4 games straight against division opponents. We won a series at home against the Astros a week ago, and then we blew it against the Rangers after taking a 1-game lead, and then they proceeded to allow only 2 runs across 2 games. And now we have already essentially lost a series against the Astros. We can't win this series in a 4-game stretch. We lose game 3, it's over, and top of the 7th, down by 1. The Astros sweep us in 4 games, and we are now 8 games below 500. And now with 8 games back in the wild card, that is too much room to make up with too little time to do it. Only 2 months left on the season, and we would have to get extremely hot to overcome this deficit. So let's start thinking about contract extensions. Only got a handful of players that can get one here. Odell Herrera is included, so we can obviously offer him. His overall is going down because he is struggling as of late, but has pulled his numbers up these last couple of games. Geraldo Franco, his potential is staying the same, not going up. His overall is going down to match it. Griffin Canning this year has been pretty solid for us. He is currently injured with a broken arm, but I think he's been good enough to where he can probably find another spot in our rotation next year as well. So I'm going to offer him a contract. He wants a 5-year deal. I mean, he does now have 6 full years of service, so it's going to be one of the first deals that we give out to guys that have not been on a bigger deal previously. We have a lot of money to go around, obviously, so not opposed to it. 5-year deal or something shorter. I think I probably like a 2 or a 3-year deal better for him because he hasn't really proven himself. So let's go for like a 3-year deal and go for a lower average in terms of money because he does kind of want to come back. So he has high interest. Let's offer this. He wants a higher salary. And now he'll take it. 3 years, $20 million. Griffin Canning returns. Now we got Andrew Wantz, who's 29 years old. Steep potential. High hit per 9. He's been really good. Well, he was good last year for us and the year prior to that. He's only been an Angel for a couple of seasons. He's having pretty much his worst year, especially with that 1.7 whip. That is extremely high for him. He's been negative 0.1 WAR. I think we'll wait on him and see how the rest of his season shakes out. But for Franco here, obviously going to give this guy a contract. He's batted .258 without any minor league experience. So I think he is well worth the offer. Now, he wants a good amount, but if we can get into like a long-term deal, he's not actually that interested. We'll lower the salary a little bit, and we'll offer this one. It's a 4-year deal for Franco. Then Odell Herrera, obviously want to bring him back. He's been a pretty good prospect for us. He might see the minor leagues here soon if he does not play better down the stretch. And he also wants kind of a similar deal as to Franco. He does not want 4 years, though. He wants 2 or less, which I'll offer for now. He wants a higher salary, and he's going to get it. So he signs. Then we got Jose Soriano, who in relief this year has been okay, but not as impressive as I would have been hoping for. Negative 0.3 WAR. I think we'll wait on him to see how his season goes. But Travis Darnell has well, not really quietly anymore, but he has been a really solid option for us with Logan O'Hoppe struggling. His highest average since the 2020 season back in Atlanta. He is 36 years old, though, so I'm going to pass on an offer for him. Andrew Chafin having a really bad year compared to last year in Detroit. He seems to always have a year like this after a couple of good ones. He's 34. I think we can obviously pass on that. And then Aaron Hicks has been just absolutely horrible compared to what he did last year. So obviously will not be re-signing him. So really not a whole lot of extensions here, except for the couple of young players that we already had. We put Reed Detmers on the trade block an episode or two back, and I think that I still don't believe in him. He has not really put his ERA down enough to where it's at a decent level. He has been incredibly underwhelming, and his ERA is pretty much the exact same as last year. Again, he's got high potential, but how much longer can you go and give this guy a shot before you trade this guy away? I think I at least want to see what offers there are for him. Tarek Skubal is on the block from the Tigers. They also have Riley Green on the block, which is very interesting because he has a potential. He's batted pretty well this year. We could always use a better bat in this lineup, but they would want a lot for Riley Green, probably more than Reed Detmers can muster up. So if we ship off Detmers, what would teams want for him? Ooh, interesting offer here from the Rockies. A third baseman with B potential, which could be a good fit for our AAA team where we are pretty much missing third baseman. And then Yusniel Cabrera, a B potential starting pitcher at 22 years old. That's my favorite offer so far that I've seen. It kind of addressed what I'm looking for. I believe the first guy was Sterling Thompson. He can play third base or in the outfield as well. I like his righty contact especially, and the durability. Hitting clutch only 47. Could really use a couple guys with some better batting clutch. And the major leagues, he's played the last 2 seasons and has been really solid, about the level of Gerardo Franco is playing right now, around 250 average, slugging just below 400. So he's been really solid, a positive WAR player both seasons in the major leagues. So I already like this trade a little bit more. They were also offering Yusniel Cabrera, who right now is in AAA. He's got relatively low hit per 9 and pitching clutch. Everything else in a decent spot. He's been better than the other guy in AAA, but still not what I want to see, really. But he is only a 66 overall, so I mean, he would be a pick for the future. You've got 5 pitches, 2 fastballs, a curveball, changeup, and a slider. So the typical repertoire for 5 pitches. So Sterling Thompson, Yusniel Cabrera, straight up for Reed Detmers. You actually save some money and don't lose any in the budget. So let's suggest the offer. And Reed Detmers has officially been traded. With that being said, I'm going to sign Wade Miley, who, didn't he win an award last year? He did. He was one of the top all-star pitchers last season. His ratings are all going down, but he's got really high pitching clutch. He was great last year, and he will just be a signing for the rest of this year, which is already essentially over for us. But he's going to be the replacement for Detmers for now. He will be getting a 1-year deal. You better take this, man. Come on. It's $2 million for 2 months of the season. There you go. That is going to be our only move at the deadline this year. And we should be able to see our player ratings get revealed here soon. In AAA, Kyle Brnovich had a rough month of July, walking 12 batters over 24 innings pitched. While Josh H. Smith, who is actually playing in the majors right now in real life, is batting .364 in July in AA. He might get a call up here soon to AAA. And Joe Gray in AAA had a very strong month of July, batting .341. You don't see that very often. Martinez in AA, not one of our drafted players, but he was still really solid. And then Jose Cisnero had a solid month of relief in AAA as well to round out the updates from the minor leagues. You can view our draft picks now, so let's go find out either how badly I screwed this up or how well we did compared to the rest of the MLB. And it looks like we did a really good job. Ryan Bullock, 81 potential, not as high as I thought it was, but it's still kind of middle of the pack. 63 overall. And he is a really, really good contact batter. And also really solid vision as well. So he reminds me a lot of Nolan Shonowell, where he can get on base easily, won't have a lot of power behind his swing. But as a switch hitter, this guy will be a really big piece for us in a couple of seasons. James Rogers, lower potential than I initially thought at 73. He's a 64 overall, but does have some solid initial power. Not great, but can definitely get up to a solid level over the course of 2 or 3 seasons. He's got C potential and a really good arm for the outfield, also really fast. So he could still be a good piece for us. The contact is, pretty low right now, but that'll go up in time. But we really hit on these pitchers, especially the starters. But first, we got Lorenzo Murillo here at 88 potential. A little over halfway between that range, 55 overall. And this won't really matter that much right now, but I like his profile a lot. The velo, especially being that high, is going to be a big boost for him, I think, with some of these being kind of low for now, but a B potential relief pitcher, I will take it. Then we got 2 A potential starters. I did not expect Herring to be this good, but he was. But Kevin Cardenas, 94 potential, 54 overall. Very low K per 9, which is a concern. Hit per 9 also pretty low. Home run per 9 also kind of low. So really what you're looking at here is a guy that won't really walk too many players, but he might get hammered for a little while at the start of his career before he works on those ratings. So I can't really say that I'm going to be impressed by him early on. Charles Herring, though, might be a bit better. Higher break on his pitches, a lot of velocity, A potential, only 18 years old, and he's already higher overall than Cardenas is at 21 years old. So Herring might make the majors earlier than Cardenas. He's got higher hit per 9, but very low walk per 9. Relatively low K per 9 as well. So they definitely don't have, perfect profiles. They definitely have their weaknesses, but some solid picks there based off the potential alone. And then we had Johnny Takahashi at a 79 actual potential at 22 years old out of Japan. You can definitely supply some power, but the on-base numbers might be kind of low starting out. The defense is solid for a catcher, but 56 fielding, you want that to be a little bit higher. The arm as well, and the accuracy too. So he's got some things to work on defensively especially, but I think he, again, with that high potential or relatively solid potential, could be a really good pick for us down the line, but is at least a better pick than any other catcher that we have right now in the minor league system. But enough about our picks. Let's go through some other teams and see where some of the top picks went and who the best prospects were by potential and maybe overall as well. The A's had the first overall pick, and they selected Francis Muller, who is a 72 overall, but like Gerardo Franco, has potential lower than his starting overall at 71. And this was the first overall pick. This was a complete miss by the A's. He's very durable and has some good power, especially against southpaw pitchers, and is a switch hitter as well, but again, 71 potential for the first overall pick. Not the right selection by the A's with number 1. Albrecht eventually was chosen by the Mariners, and he has 85 potential, so better than the guys that we took in the first 2 rounds. And yeah, he's going to be a pretty solid on-base guy. He has really good plate discipline, solid contact and power, so he's a solid player at a 66 overall, and he was the best pick by the Mariners in this draft. We go through some other teams. Looks like the Braves had a really bad draft, really low potentials, and also a couple of unsigned players that probably had potentially some good potential. Orlando Murillo ends up having 87 potential at 19 years old and is already a 70 overall. So this is one of those rare pitchers that might make the majors by 20 or 21 years old. Same goes for Vlad Ramirez here at 66 overall, 92 potential, probably the best closer taken in this draft. Good selections there by the Marlins. And then the guy that I thought was going to go first overall was Russell Park. And this guy, wow, the A's really screwed up their first overall pick because this guy is an absolute beast. I've never seen a player this good out of the draft, at least so far. 99 potential and already a 78 overall, a switch hitter, 18 years old, and he is already a very well-rounded batter and has some pretty solid defensive and athletic ratings as well with that 76 speed and 63 fielding. That guy is going to be an absolute beast. What a draft overall by the Reds here. Really phenomenal job, and they got lucky with Park dropping all the way to pick number 11. A lot of teams missed out on him. Kondo eventually gets drafted by the Brewers. He's got 82 potential at 55 overall, so he could be a solid pick by them. And then Jess Nash was taken by the Pirates, and I wanted him, but he eventually went third overall, and he has only 82 potential, so pretty much lower potential than I thought he had, but he is really good out of the gate, is 73 overall with really solid contact, pretty decent power as well, and that plate vision being that high is a really good starting place. Also, really good speed and base running aggressiveness. That'll be a really good pick for them down the line. The Cardinals only had 5 picks here in this draft. They must have lost one with one of their key signings in the offseason. And Jeff Jeffers went early in the draft, 82 potential, 66 overall. Solid pick there. And then Sorvala, we had scouted. He's at 86 overall for the Rockies. And look at the Dodgers, man. They took 2 very high potential prospects, both of whom will probably reach or get close to it because they're only mid to high 50s. Johnny Caminiti and Jorge Rios, a left fielder and a starting pitcher. So good picks by them. Mike O'Hara was taken by the Padres at a 78 potential. The Orioles missed on their first 4 picks, it looks like, with one solid pick later on. Omar Flores, just below 80 potential, taken by the Red Sox. We thought about him early on in the scouting. And then Bernardo Quintero, 77 potential. So a lot of these guys that we scouted that we did not take ended up having like mid to high 70s potential. Tampa had a pretty horrible draft. The Blue Jays with just some completely horrible selections here. And then Jason Temple was the second overall pick. 85 potential, 70 overall. We did not really have him discovered at all. And yeah, he's automatically going to be a pretty solid player. Might give up a couple home runs. That is his flaw, at least right now. He also got a really good closer. Andy Leslie, 75 overall. This guy looks even better than Jason Temple. The Guardians had a solid draft. Estevan Caron and Rico Guerrero both get taken by Cleveland. They both have mid to low 70 potential, so not going to worry about missing on either of those 2 players. The Tigers had a relatively bad draft by potential. Salvatore Santo ends up being a solid player. So does Ben Vargas, but he's got a long way to go before he reaches that potential. And then we are pretty much back to us a few teams later. So those are the draft picks here in year 2. With that out of the way, I think it's a perfect time to focus on the minor leagues for a handful of minutes here. We got one player to look at, and that is a guy that we drafted last season. Starting pitcher Robert Karlick, who has been electrifying this year in Double-A with the Rocket City Trash Pandas. This is Karlick's first start this season, but his stats this year right there on the middle of your screen: a .85 whip, 1.44 ERA. He's got 4 pitches in his repertoire, and he has not walked a single batter all year long. The K rate's pretty low, but the walk rate being at 0 is absolutely insane because he's pitched quite a lot. Can't necessarily see or can I see his stats this year overall? Only a 61 overall. Very low home run per 9. Even a pretty, mediocre walk per 9. But, okay, the walk rate was actually incorrect. He's walked 14 people. But 37 strikeouts, 1.3 WAR. Was still, 2 or so months left on the season. 62 innings pitched. And only 10 runs allowed, 4 home runs. He has been insane. And this, again, is his first start of the entire year. He's been pitching in relief for the most part. But here's his first starts. This is Taden Hall, the number 27 Brewers prospect. And he opens up with a base hit off of Karlik. Got a 3-1 count now against Blake Perkins here. That one is flared for an opposite field single, and they got 2 men on, nobody outs. Noticing so far that there is some lack of control here for Karlik. It's not nearly going where I want it to be, as Kali just shattered his bats on the two-seamer. Two-seamer is going to stay fair down the right field line. And they're going to score here in the first inning against Karlik. And 2 runs will cross home plates. Not what you want to see in his first start after doing a great job in relief all year long. Wes Clark with a 2-run RBI double. Karlik does have 74 hit per 9, so it is concerning that he's already given up 3 different base hits around the different parts of the field, down the right field line, left field line, and then just a basic single to right field as well. Trying to get out of the inning here, potentially get out number 2. That is straight to center field and outs. Clark holds at second. Upstairs, and Rodriguez went around. He's down in a hole 0-2. Let's go for a curveball off the plates. And that was in there actually on the edge. And 3 pitches, 3 strikes to exit the first. But 2 runs allowed by Karlik. Trash pen just tying the game off a 2 RBI home run from Adrian Plasencia. One of our young shortstops here in AA. Go to the second inning. Already 19 pitches now for Karlik after that one. Nice pitch for strike number 2. This is Batanti at the plates. He was a 3rd-round draft pick in 2023 for Milwaukee. Upstairs, got him. Looking for 2 strikeouts to open the inning. How do you not call that a strike ump? Are you serious? That is dead in the zone completely. Now it's 3-1. Not going to get that second strikeout, it doesn't look like. And Bovee takes the walk. Thanks, ump, for the help. There's definitely plenty of pitches that are not where they're supposed to be from Karlik right now. He's missing his splitter and his curveball all over the place right now. Let's try and get him a little bit inside here. Popped up. Third baseman comes over for out number 2. Last 2 pitches have missed the corners. Let's go for a curveball on the bottom of the zone here. In there. Finally get a generous call from the ump. 2-1 count against Hall, who had that leadoff single earlier in the game. And he's ahead again. The third 3-1 counts. Not even through a full 2 innings for Karlik. Let's put this fastball in the zone. And it's fouled off. 2-seamer on the way, and it is popped up to shallow center to end the second. Popped up to open the 3rd inning. That is Blake Perkins. This time retired after he had a single in the first as well. It was one of the runs that came across to open the score in here. That was a bit of a meatball too, so got lucky on that one. Kali steps up, and he swings on the first pitch, and that one is blasted out of here. Karlik gives up the long ball. He does have very low home run per 9. And they take the lead right back. 3-2 Biloxi. Yeah, well, sometimes going upstairs against a powerful batter can be a dangerous thing. Especially with a guy that has, again, only 27 home run per 9. Not the best pitch. Karlik struggling here in his first start. That's grounded. And they're going to say it's foul. Clark already had the 2 RBI double earlier in the game. Trying to get back on base here. Low and swung on. Now he's behind. Got him outside with the curveball, and he had to reach for it. Out number 2. 2-2 counts here facing Ruben Cardenas. That's lined right to Karlik. And he gets the out to end the 3rd, but 3 runs allowed through 3. Gotta start reeling this in. Karlik stays in here in the 4th, north of 50 pitches now. Nice play by Placencia at short to make the throw for out number 1. Batanti tied up on the inside. He falls behind 0-2. Let's try that outside. Let's try the inside curveball and try and get this one on that low inside corner. Missing. He works the count even and got him looking with strike 3. Nice 2-seamer right there from Karlik. Oh, that is a generous strike call from the ump. Finally got like an actual bona fide incorrect call going our way for once. Try to go outside with a 4-seamer here and a 2-2 count. Once again, a punch out looking. He's got good stamina, so 65 pitches in. And still in here in the 5th. Facing Nikasha. A splitter. Could have been called a strike. And probably should have been. This is their number 30 prospect in their organization. Let's go with the curveball. Try to go inside here. Upstairs. Nikasha climbs the ladder. 2-2 counts. Let's go back to the splitter. Try and get this one on the outer edge of the plates. Hopefully. And he chased it, despite Karlik missing badly. Hayden Hall puts some power behind the swing. But it's tracked down in center field. Not getting many 2-strike swings here on the curveball. Just not working out. So we're going to go back to the fastball. Try and put this one on the outside and potentially in the zone. And the ump is giving us some nice calls now. We'll take it. That'll be it for Karlik. His day is done through 5 innings, gave up 3 earned runs, only had 4 hits, but they were all pretty much strung together. Gonna go back to simulating, and the game ends up being a Shuckers win. So this will be a loss for Karlik, I'm pretty sure, with those 3 runs allowed. But I think he did pretty solid out of the first inning. I think that was a solid performance, and he does get the loss, his 3rd of the season. Despite 13 hits from the Trash Pandas, they could not string runs together. What about the other guys that we drafted last season? Greg Ariano has the highest ERA among all AA pitchers on our current roster. He's appeared in 22 games, 19 starts, and only 6 of them were quality, so he's really had a rough time. ERA and WHIP north of 5.5 and 1.5, which is not what you want to see. Barrett Kent, who has been hurt for quite some time now, was also having a rough stint here in AA before he got hurt. And then Doug Chandler, our highest overall pitcher right now in the org, and he has only had 1 start so far. He's been playing in relief like Karlik, pretty similar amount of playing time, but he's given up a lot more earned runs, more home runs, more walks. He just hasn't been as good, but still has been a positive WAR pitcher. Ariano, has he been positive WAR? Yes, he has, 0.5 still. I can't really complain all that much. They are pretty low overall, so it will take time to develop these guys. You've also got, it was Waylon Cook, who I sent down to single A earlier without actually recording it because he was not playing very well. Only had like 6 innings pitched in total and had like a 6+ ERA. He wasn't getting playing time, so I figured with that 54 overall, it probably makes more sense to be in single A just to get those ratings up before he appears in double A to get some stats under his belt. But I think for now we can go back to the Major League roster and check on the Angels that are now 3 games below 500. We won a series at home against Minnesota and Mike Trout. We've lost the first game in a series against Tampa Bay. I kind of want to face the Miami Marlins in Miami. That could be a fun one. So let's sim through the series against Tampa at the Trop. We're up 6-0 here in this game. John Means going for a shutout. Let's jump in. Only 2 hits allowed so far. So here we go at the Trop. Trying to get a John Means complete game shutout here against the Rays. Jose Caballero at the plates. Has reached 1 time so far today. Is trying to break up the scoreless game here. John Means only at 94 pitches. Inside on the sweeping curve. That runs the count full. I do tend to stick with the pitchers in terms of CPU versus CPU because typically when I'm controlling a pitcher, obviously, I could have some pretty poor decisions in terms of where I'm placing pitches. And also, if you do CPU versus CPU, that puts more of a focus on team building and on the player instead of my skills. So that's why I like doing this, especially in games like this where a guy's going for a shutout or for a no-no or whatever the case may be. I just think it's better to see what the actual pitcher does with all their ratings coming into focus instead of any of my skill having any impact. With batting, I have a different philosophy, but with pitching, I would rather see what the pitcher themselves can do without any help from me or any problems from me. Line out here from Yandy Diaz. That was almost a base hit. That was hot off the bat. But now 1 out away here for John Means to go for the shutouts. It's Isaac Paredes, the former Detroit Tiger, at the plates. Ahead in the counts. And that is going to be a base hit. Paredes into left fields. Runners on first and second. Means now over 100 pitches. In the air. Got him inside. Jammed it up. And Neto ends the game. John Means. 9 scoreless innings. Great job. So we take game 2 and now game 3. Who can come out on top in the series? It's 0-0 here, top of the 7th. Bases loaded for Logan O'Hoppe. We're going to sim through because I want to focus on a game against the Marlins. And we end up winning 4-0. Another shutout. Who pitched this time around? Stolseth goes 5 innings. Scoreless. Then Strahm, Andrew Wantz, and Leclerc all show up with no runs allowed. And really a lack of base runners too. Nobody walked after Matt Strahm left the game. Mickey Moniak, Tyler O'Neill both hit home runs. Let's see what Wade Miley potentially can do here in this first game. Here we go. Lone Depot Park in Miami, Florida. They are 15 games over 500. Pretty solid year for them. We're trying to climb all the way back. 1 game away now. We got to face Braxton Garrett today. He said, a solid year, but nothing special. Edward Joyner has pulled his numbers up to now 280 average after 262 last episode. He looks at strike 1. And that's a walk. for Julian to lead off the inning. That brings up Tim Anderson. Doing quick counts here in this game to try and get us through it a little bit quicker. That's inside for ball 2. In the zone and down the left field line. Julian heading for third. Going to keep Anderson at first base. And now runners at the corners for a guy that knows how to bring him home. Nolan Shonowell. That's gone to right field and out of here. Nolan Shonowell, a 3-run blast to open the scoring. What a start for the Angels. Shonowell has kind of stepped into that Edward Julian role from last year. He has batted incredibly well all year long. Only 98 off the bat, but enough to leave. On a line and caught in right field. Ohapi, an opposite field flyout. Going to bring up Gerardo Franco, who's batting .262 now. He's been actually very impressive here in his rookie campaign without any minor league experience. That's grounded short, or to second rather, and he is also out. I'm going to move the camera down for these left-handed batters a little bit. Save that, and hopefully this is better. I did that earlier a few games back, or last year, in fact, when we were at Angel Stadium. There's strike 3. I was busy talking. Only one start so far for Wade Miley, but he was solid. 6 innings pitched, only allowed like 1 or 2 runs, and a nice cushion here in this game. We're going to go back to watching CPU versus CPU when our pitcher's out there. Just want to see what he can do without my assistance. Fouled off behind home plate by Espinoza. Espinoza takes the count full. Now 7 pitches in the at-bat, and Miley walks him to open the inning, just like Braxton Garrett. And he's going for second, and safe easily. Not even close. Inside pitch swung on. That'll get Espinoza up to third base. De La Cruz out number 1, but some danger on base right now with Jake Berger, the DH, batting cleanup today. Or no. Well, he's next up. He's on deck after Luis Ariz, who obviously is a really good on-base kind of a player. Got to be very careful pitching at him, especially with a guy on third. In the air to left field. Franco tracks it down, but that will bring home the runner, and the Marlins are on the board. Right on the outer side of the plate, and it's not going to drop in. Tracked down in left field by De La Cruz. And now Zach Neto with 2 outs, nobody on. That'll get through between second and third, or Jesus Christ, short and third. So Neto keeps the inning alive. Julian into right field, and Neto holds at seconds. Getting some really good contact off of Garrett right now. He's already reaching 40 pitches here with still 1 out left in the seconds. Tim Anderson back up after a first inning single. This is his former team, and that one is out of here, I think. Yes, it is. Another 3-run shot. Had one lasting, and now we get one here with Tim Anderson against his former team. Only his 6th on the season, but what a big offensive performance already. 6-1. Gotta love it. Garrett north of 26 pitches this inning. That's inside for ball 3. Full count for Nolan Shonowell. That's in the zone and grounded right to shorts. Inning over, but what a game so far for the Halos. Plenty of insurance now for Wade Miley. Nick Fortes gets a piece of it, but not enough juice behind it. Bobby Dahlbeck with a nice cut, but he missed the ball completely. First strikeout for Wade Miley here in this one. Gonna bring up Jazz Chisholm for the first time. 8 pitches here in this at-bat from Jazz Chisholm. Wade Miley's pitch count is already climbing up there. Both innings has gone 20 or more with this next one. Coming in, Ford O'Neill gets there in time for the outs. Good job. On a line into the gap, Logan O'Hoppe, a leadoff single here in the third. He has pulled his average up by 50 points from around 143 a few months back to now just under 200 in this game. Braxton Garrett right now getting absolutely hammered by this Angels offense. Not the best swing right there from Franco. 1-2 count for him. In the zone and down the third baseline again. Gonna keep Franco at first base, and that was a mistake. Trying to send O'Hoppe all the way to third base. I thought that was gonna get further down the line, but my mistake. That brings up the other rookie, Odell Herrera. Lifted to left field, but out. Lefty on lefty crime. Kiermaier with a single up the middle. And Garrett's stay is going to be cut short here in the third inning. He is done. So in comes Thomas White, who has arguably been worse, especially against right-handed batters. Another southpaw checks in. Got to get used to his delivery here. Could have swung on that one, though. Got a full count. Zach Neto on deck. That's in the zone. Had to swing. They didn't time it well enough. Inning over. You might have a lot of pitches right now, but Miley has yet to allow a base hit. The guy that scored was a guy that drew a walk and then had a sac fly, so technically, no hits allowed so far. But already approaching 50 pitches here in the third. His day might be cut short next inning, but Barry looks at strike 3. Bottom of the order, Nick Gordon, right to Julian, out number 2. Espinoza behind in the count, swung on for another punch out. Full count to lead off the fourth. Neto hammers one on a line to center field, but Chisholm is there easily. Perfect swing. Just did not get enough air underneath it. Ooh, jammed inside, but Julian with the opposite field single. Lucky to get that one to drop in. Upstairs, swung on. Will this one drop in? Yes, it will. 2 men on. Anderson now 3 for 3 today. And he chased it. It will stay fair, and they're going to tag him out. The runners do advance, though, so a chance now for Logan O'Hoppe with runners in scoring position. O'Hoppe grounds it through the infields. A late start going home, but 2 runs come across. Julian and Anderson both across home plate. A 2 RBI single for Logan O'Hoppe, trying to get himself back on track to close the season. De La Cruz leads off the fourth for the Marlins. And at third base, Anderson can't throw him out at first. Tried to block it and did block it, but just couldn't get the throw off in time. It'll be a base hit. That De La Cruz hit, by the way, was their first hit of the ball game. Luis Arraez in the air and over. Tyler O'Neill in right field. De La Cruz heading home, and he's safe. An RBI double for Luis Arraez. Marlins back on the board. Got him swinging. Jake Burger is retired. Chopped. Barely got it in the infield, and Ohtani steps up to make the play. 1 out left. Full counts. Dahlbeck looks at strike 3. 5th K for Wade Miley. Trying to keep the offense going here in the 5th. Kiermaier. Perfect base hit. With 1 out. Should not have swung that time. In the air, deep to right field. Out number 2 off Tyler O'Neill. Neto supplies some power going right to the same spots. And it's tracked down at the warning track. No damage done here. That's going to be it for Wade Miley. His day is done, but now through 2 starts, pretty solid performances. In comes Matt Strahm, who's been probably our top reliever out of the bullpen. After a relatively, slow first month, he has really done a great job the rest of the way. Facing Jazz Chisholm. In the air to left field. Does it have enough behind it? It does not. Geraldo Franco. Good job to keep his eyes on the ball. Why did I swing there? Julian, 3 for 3 somehow. That's 2 straight at-bats with the horrible inside swing. But still got it to drop, and he's 3 for 3 today. And so is Tim Anderson. To right field. It's going to get down. Gonna keep Anderson at first base. Julian holds at third. Anderson having quite the day. Oh, Sean O'Well. Man, that is like the pitch to send to right field again. But he pops it up. Curveball left right over the heart of the plate in the center of the zone. That's unfortunate. Next up, Logan O'Hoppe. Really pulling himself up by his own bootstraps. Figuring things out here at the plates. Horrible swing. He's out. 1 guy left to bring home the runners. Geraldo Franco. Can the rookie get it done? Towards the gap. It's going back, and it's not going to get out of here. But we're going to send Franco to second base. And 2 more runs will score. As it for Thomas White. In comes Edward Cabrera. Second guy out of the bullpen for the Marlins. He's got to face Odell Herrera. Double digits for the Angels. And Herrera makes it 12. Gone to right field. This is fun. Does not seem to matter who's pitching for the Marlins right now. We're doing damage regardless of who's on the mounds. Into the second stands, or the second floor stands there from Odell Herrera, number 16 on the season for him. What a year he is having. Kiermaier keeps the inning alive. O'Neill on the ground. And that will officially end the 6th. But a double-digit lead now, 12-2. Andrew Wantz gets the chance to close this game out. Jake Burger At the plates, we got Brian De La Cruz on first right now after a single. And he looks at strike 3. Ball game over. What a win across the board for the Halos. 12-2. The bats were electrifying, and the pitching staff did a phenomenal job. What a win here in Game 1 against Miami. And that win gets us to 60-60 on the season. We had a lot of home runs here in this one. Anderson, Shanoel, Herrera, all with multi-run home runs. Wade Miley was solid. Matt Strom and Andrew Watts came in and gave up no earned runs across 5 innings. But, I mean, only one guy did not get on base, and that was Tyler O'Neill, the only guy to not even get a hit in this game. But what a great job by the offense. That's probably that for sure is our best game of the entire series to this point. Gonna sim the rest of August to get into the final month of the season. And look at that, just in time for a little push above 500. Griffin Canning has returned, so he will probably come in as one of our top long relievers. We do still have Sosa starting, but he has been playing better as of late. Griffin Canning, 4 ERA, solid whip. I think I like him better right now than Blake trying to play as a long relief pitcher, so we'll replace him for now. We're going to keep both Wade Miley and Sosa as the 2 starters behind our top 3. But we are now 1 spot over the limit for the active roster. We got to send somebody down to AAA. Out of all the players that it makes sense to do it with, I think it's gonna have to be Aaron Hicks. So he'll go down to AAA, and that will be the last roster spot until September rolls around for September calls. But I just feel like with so many guys batting well as of late, no reason to send somebody who is not struggling down to the minor leagues. And we've just lost Gerardo Franco to an MCL sprain, so he will head to the 10-day IL. And now we got to call somebody up from AAA to take his spot for now. I think right now he's probably the top candidate. We could also just bring up CJ Crone, one of those veteran guys. He can play in the outfield too. In fact, I think right now I feel better doing this and then maybe using one of our September call-up moves on Luciano instead. So yeah, we're going to bring up CJ Crone. And we end August with a loss against the Mariners. And we enter... Actually, we have one more game against them. They've already won the series. And 4-4, top of the 9th. The Angels win 6-4. We're going to stop simming here. We're through August, and we have climbed above 500 despite getting swept, or nearly swept by the Yankees here in a 4-game series. But playing some pretty solid baseball lately after a several-month slump. And we have now reached September, or September calls. We don't even get the updates on the top players in the minor leagues from the past month, so can't see who played well the last 30 days or so. But Robbie Ray gets called up. Some teams have called up some veteran players and some prospects. So a lot of players here getting called up, but who do we call up? We're going to end it right here. But before we do, let's go look at the top options. And it looks like right now, Luciano should still be one of them. And maybe Joe Gray can come in to play in the outfields. He has been consistent all season long, just like Luciano has. He can play every outfield position and has some solid contact, not a whole lot of power. Luciano, I think, is for sure going to get the call up. So I'll make that move here soon. And then who else? Max Schumann, a good utility guy. He's been solid. I think it's going to be one of these two, Joe Gray or Max Schumann, but not Walker Jenkins. I think I still want to wait on him. I want to see what he can do in spring training next year and go from there. But for Marco Luciano, he's already on the 40-man. Let's call him up to the major leagues to end our season. And for the final spot, I will let you guys decide who you want to see called up. Do you want to see Joe Gray? Do you want to see Max Schumann? Or do you really want to see Walker Jenkins? Not opposed to calling him up. He is slugging very well. On base is towards the top of the team. So he could be a solid option as well. Up to a 73 overall now. So we've got options. Gonna leave it up for grabs right now. But gotta make this decision to start next episode, folks. Gonna end it right here. How far are we out from the wild card now? Just one game over 500. We're still 6 games back. That is too much ground to make up in too little time. But we can still have some fun to round out this season, folks. Gonna end it here. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.